Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's review we are once again going to be throwing it back to Transformers Dark of the Moon by taking a look here today at the original DOTM leader class Ironhide. I do apologise for how long it has actually taken me to get this second episode out, which leads me to ask two questions of you all. Which character / figure would you like me to take a look at in the third episode, and how frequent would you like to see these episodes occur on the channel? Once per week, once per fortnight, or maybe even once per month? Please be sure to let me know down in the comment section below, and also be sure to let me know what character or figure you would like me to take a look at next. Taking a look here at Ironhide, here we have him transformed up into his awesome looking GMC truck mode. Now I must admit the leader class Ironhide in my opinion has got to be one of the best leader class Michael Bay movie figures that we have ever gotten. Up until very recently this was actually my definitive Ironhide in the collection, and even for today's standards still is one of my favourite figures of all time. I even actually have him on display despite owning both the Masterpiece and the Studio Series figure. This figure, as I'm sure many of you will also know, is actually one of my original childhood toys, so this figure on a personal level really does hold so many memories. Taking a look here at Ironhide in his vehicle mode, this was truly when leader classes were at their best. It began in Revenge of the Fallen and continued into Dark of the Moon. This is a very heavy, incredibly sturdy and robust figure. The plastic as well as the weight truly does feel as if it could potentially be a Commander class figure. It is that well done. As we take a look here towards the front section of the vehicle mode, of course we have the GMC logo with some fantastic looking sculpt work. You can see some subtle details such as the road armor. We've even got some nice details here on the bottom. I really did love the way this particular truck did look. You can see the silver paintwork here on the top as well as the indicator lights. As we spin around here to the side, unfortunately we did have some robot mode kibble sticking out from the underneath. However, for a 2011 leader class I believe they did a fantastic job, and it wasn't until this figure was actually released that we got a good Ironhide. I believe all of the figures up until Dark of the Moon were really bad, so this figure, at least in my opinion, really did set the bar for how well done Ironhide figures could be. You can see how we've got the 4x4 logo there on the side as well as the gas cap. Loads of sculpt work here depicting where the door handles as well as the doors would be. Unfortunately a cast black plastic window there, which isn't the best, although the front section here has been completely cast out of a transparent plastic, and we also do have some nice blue lights here at the top. As we take a look here towards the back of the truck, you can see how we do have the bed, which actually does look rather clean. We've got the stacks here on the sides, which are nowhere near as long as they were in the movie. I do believe there was an upgrade company that did come out with chrome smokestacks. However, unfortunately back in the day I wasn't necessarily in the know about third party and only really tended to pick up the official Hasbro products. As we take a look here towards the back, we've got a really nicely sculpted Autobot insignia, and the tail lights too have been painted and sculpted really well. Due to how heavy the figure is and the fact that all of the wheels are indeed pinned, this figure can roll so smoothly along the ground, and you can even hear in the review station just how much presence this figure has, as he is so weighty. This figure was released during the Dark of the Moon toy line, which of course had the mainline gimmick of Mech Tech, and Ironhide's Mech Tech feature in this particular mode was that you could actually take the stacks here, pull them back in order to flip out his robot mode cannons, which I thought was fantastic. Of course you can do the same here on the opposite side, and despite them looking on the slightly smaller side, it was a great play feature, and once again in my opinion, even to today's standards, still really does hold up. I shan't go into too much detail on these just yet, as of course we'll take a look at them in the robot mode, but this was a really nice gimmick, especially as in DOTM we did see some of the Autobots actually obtain a stealth vehicle mode appearance. You can also snap them into place just like this, and as this is a 2011 leader class, the last leader class assortment to actually have light and sound. As we take a look here towards the back, you can see a button which if you push once, we do get the audio as if Ironhide's engine is powering up and that perhaps he is rolling along a very unstable ground. However, if you do actually hold it, we will get that same audio, however slightly extended in order to give us a revving engine. So that was really cool. I did love the lights and sounds gimmicks on these leader class figures. Of course, in vehicle mode, there unfortunately isn't any lights. It would have been great to have gotten the front headlights lit up, but as far as the sound chip is concerned, I think it's really well done. So without further ado, let's move in to the transformation. Now, one of the main reasons that Ironhide was my favourite figure back in the day was because he was actually the only leader class figure that I could transform on my own, as for a leader class, the transformation really isn't all that sophisticated, and if only I could have shown myself back in 2011 the types of figures that I would be reviewing and transforming in 2021. I probably would have never known how to transform half of the figures back then, but nevertheless, getting down here to transformation to begin with, you're going to want to take this section here and pry this open and over the top. We can then turn our attention here to these side panels, and you're going to want to disengage all of this. I remember it being that you had to pull the legs down, which loosened these tabs up, and then you could just proceed to untab that, fold this panel up, and this will slide into this slot. Snap that in there, of course, come here to this side, and repeat the exact same process. So just slide that in there and snap that into place. As far as the leg transformation is concerned, you just want to take this section, bring the feet down, split these, and then of course rotate here at the knee, and that is essentially the legs fully transformed here for robot mode. We can then turn our attention here to this side, and I remember this being rather tricky as the ball joints did have a tendency to actually pop off. However, you're going to want to bring this section here up and over, and you can see how we do have these tabs here on the arms that will indeed peg, if I just hinge this up, into these slots here. So take the arm, untab this section here, rotate this entire assembly around while hinging the shoulder joint, snap that into place, and then of course we can take this, rotate this here all the way around, and as you can see, unfortunately the chest did pop off quite a few times during transformation. You're going to want to bring this down, snap this section into place, take the wheels, snap that into place, and then compress that piece, come here to this side, and of course repeat the exact same process. So hinge that up, take this here, pull that forwards, snap that into place, and then we can take the arm and rotate this here around. Then we can take the chest, once again, snap that into place, take the wheel, and then here with the entire back assembly, you're going to want to take this butt flap, snap that there into place, and we do have a slot here that this transparent peg will indeed clip into. So just align that up, take this, snap that there. And so here we have Ironhide fully transformed up into what is, in my opinion, a really nice representation of how the character appeared in the original trilogy of Michael Bay movies. Now, of course, when comparing this to the likes of the Studio Series version and, of course, the Masterpiece, it does pale in comparison. But if you were to take into account all of the figures that actually came before this, he was, at least until around 2018, the best live-action Ironhide that we had ever gotten. And I still do really love the way this character looks. Bringing him in here for a closer look, you can see that as far as the head sculpt is concerned, I believe Hasbro did a really nice job. You can see how we've got some super awesome gold highlights there to pick out some of the sharper details of the sculpt. I know an area of the design that had many collectors in a rage was the fact that Hasbro had actually given Ironhide a mouth guard, which of course he never had in any of the Michael Bay movies, although I personally actually never had an issue with this at all. And now this will of course trigger the electronic function, but if you were to pull the mouth guard down, you can see how he does indeed have his movie accurate looking faceplate. It is rather odd in my opinion that they did decide to include a mouth guard. However, as mentioned, it never really bugged me all that much, and you can see some fantastic sculpt as well as paintwork going on there. As we take a look here towards the chest, this was by far one of the best chest designs that we had seen for this character up until 2011, and even to today, when taking into account the Masterpiece version, I do actually believe that this figure here did it better. This here all locks securely into place, looks very proportionate, and doesn't move around when actually manipulating the arms. You can see how unfortunately we do have a faux grille. However, that is definitely a minor critique for what is otherwise a really nice looking chest design. We do have some nice sculpt work here for these sections, and of course the real wheels that actually do become the sides of the chest. As we take a look here towards the arms, from a front perspective, these look very accurate to the movie. However, of course, we do have the sides of the truck just stored here on the back. However, as Ironhide was of a slightly stubbier nature, I was always of the impression that it did actually go along with his character design. We won't take a look at the weapons just yet, as I will demonstrate those in the feature segment, but as we take a look here towards the main torso, you can see how we have got some nice sculpt and paintwork, as well as an Autobot sticker, and a colour choice that I know many collectors weren't too happy about was the fact that they actually gave Ironhide blue legs, and even to today I have no idea as to why they decided to do that. I really wish that they could have just cast these out of the same colour of black plastic that we got here for the arms as well as here for the chest, as it looks so unusual. It really does look as if Ironhide is wearing jeans. But as far as the sculpt work is concerned, you can see how we've got some nice spring detailing. The top sections of the hips have been sculpted and painted rather nicely, and the crotch plate definitely does resemble what we saw in the movie. As we take a look here down to the shins, very jagged and abstract as far as the design is concerned, of course, much like we saw from many of the Michael Bay designs. And then as we take a look here towards the feet, these two also look very accurate, especially when Mojo does indeed leak lubricant all over them in the first movie. Now, as far as gimmicks are concerned, Ironhide here, of course, has electronic lights and sounds. However, he also had many different hidden weapons. So first of all, we shall begin by taking a look at the electronic feature. This figure here is indeed the European release, so it doesn't have the American sound effects. Unfortunately, he merely does just state his name, and then the second phrase, I believe, is a mechanical sound. So just to demonstrate that, you want to push this button here, and you can see how you get this almost mechanical clanging sound. The mouth plate will move down and the eyes will flicker with a green LED, and then the second phrase we get is merely just Ironhide. So not the Americanized version which had Ironhide here or weapons ready, which was something that I always wanted to get for an Ironhide figure. But nevertheless, as we take a look here towards the second electronic gimmick, in my opinion one of the best electronic gimmicks that we had ever seen on a leader class figure. If you take this section and fold this down and apply enough pressure in a quick amount of time, you can see how you'll get this super awesome rotating flip out cannon, and oh my goodness, back in the day this certainly did go through some use. I just love this and it perfectly fits the character of Ironhide. I would have loved to have seen this actually appear in the movie, but nevertheless you can see that as far as the sculpt and detailing is concerned, this here looks awesome, and its overall functionality I believe works really well as well. Just to demonstrate that one more time, you can see how it would spring open, flip around with the red LED, and then of course as you would let go, the mechanical sound would indeed shut down. So cool. As far as the arm cannons were concerned, once again, much like we saw in the vehicle mode, you take the smokestacks, just pull this section here out to the side, and that will reveal one blaster, and then of course repeat the same process, and that will reveal a cannon. This cannon was very accurate to what we saw in the original trilogy, although this one here was a little more stylized than compared to the actual cannon that Ironhide did have on this arm, although I don't believe he actually had arm cannons in Dark of the Moon, as I'm pretty certain they got blown off in Revenge of the Fallen. But nevertheless, we've got some really nice looking sculpt and paintwork here, and the same can also be applied here for this side. But he also had hidden weapons in the legs, which too was a fantastic gimmick. So to demonstrate that, you just want to take the side of the leg here, fold this out, and it will indeed reveal a dagger which has been painted and sculpted exceptionally well. You can remove this, although it is a pain to actually pull out and reinsert, so I shall be leaving it in here for this review, but such a nice feature. And then as we take a look here towards this one, you just want to pull this down, and it will indeed reveal a rocket launcher, which too has been painted and sculpted. And you can see that we do actually have a trigger switch, because you can take this and fire this and it will launch, although unfortunately on my copy, as the years have gone by, it doesn't really like to fire all that well anymore, which is rather unfortunate. But nevertheless, back in the day, it was definitely a fantastic gimmick, and it still is. It's just a shame that the spring has unfortunately given up on him. As far as articulation is concerned, fresh out of the packaging, Ironhide's head was actually glued into place, and I never disengaged this, so for me the head has always been static. We do get ratchet joints here at the arms which can rotate forwards and backwards, as well as a hinge joint here out to the sides, a rotation here at the bicep, as well as a swivel here at the forearm due to transformation. We do get a 90-degree bend there at the elbow. No waist rotation, although the legs are on ratchet joints, so can kick forwards that far, as well as back to that far, and of course out to the sides. Rotation here at the upper knee, as well as a ratchet joint here at the knee, which unfortunately doesn't bend to the greatest degree. And then finally we do get a rocker pivot forwards and backwards, as well as left to right. So overall, as far as articulation is concerned, Ironhide here was definitely decent for a leader class. However, if you have seen his portrayal in the movie, besides that one scene in the first movie where he does the backflip and fires the cannons out of the ground, he certainly didn't pull off many stunts in the film. And here, for a more contemporary Ironhide size comparison, we have the original leader class compared to next to the Masterpiece, as well as of course the Studio Series version. And when comparing the leader Ironhide especially to the MP release, you can see that unfortunately he definitely does pale in comparison, especially as far as the detailing is concerned. But for a 2011 release, he was definitely leaps and bounds ahead of what we were getting in that time period. And it is a shame that unfortunately leader class figures are nowhere near as good in my opinion as they used to be, as the plastic quality, the amount of gimmicks that we used to get, as well as of course lights and sounds, seem to all vanish after the Dark of the Moon toy line, and I personally have no idea as to why that is. But you can see that as far as an Ironhide collection is concerned, if you are a completionist of the movie characters and are a fan of Ironhide, then this is definitely a figure that I would recommend tracking down, as honestly I've had heaps of fun with this character for a little over 10 years now. So that just about wraps up my review here for the DOTM Leader Class Ironhide throwback review. Once again, I want to say a massive thank you to each and every one of you who do indeed stay tuned for these throwback reviews, and I would love to know down in the comment section below what character slash figure would you like me to take a look at in the next video, and how frequent would you like to see these reviews out. I would also love to know on whether or not you actually picked this figure up when it was originally released, or whether or not it was a figure that you picked up as the years went by, or if it is one that you will be seeking out after this review. I thank you all for watching, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.